Hi there. Hi there. Can we hear me here? Uh, I never did do a year's end thing of 2023 and the beginning of the new year 2024 because the new year starts where the new year last year ended off. And that was, well, there were different things going on in the last year, stretching back a year with this week, where I started to get crazy and post all that crazy shit from all year long. Earlier in the year, it was in March when the offensive psychiatric drug was introduced to my daily regime that made me like crazy, insane, irritable, not irritable, but what am I saying, incoherent. And I was crying and all this crazy. And it was because of these psychiatric drugs I was being fed. Okay, the side effects of them. The one was four side effects. We were searching for a side effect drug for some like muscle cramps like this, where your fingers go like that, and you can have with antipsychotic. You can have with antipsychotic medication. You won't necessarily have, but you could, you can. But so, and there are other drugs they use to treat that with. Mainly, they've used the same drugs for like over 50 years, cogentin and artane. And so cogentin was tolerated for that kind of stuff in the 1970s by myself, being given it. And but when I was given it in 2019 for the same thing, it caused bedwetting, and they said, well, that can happen, so don't take it. So then some years went by with the side effects, bothering me some more, So then the new psych provider tried the other one, the Artane, at my request, because I'd never been given it before. But it messed with my mind so bad, man. I mean, that crying video, and so it got 100 views or whatever, and everybody said, Tom knows, is talking about what a crazy person I am now, nutcase. And so, fuck you all if you think that, I don't care. But because it's not true. It's just that my life is much more complicated and screwed up intellectually, deeper, necessary waters to navigate just to stay my head above water than the average person you all do. Like my psychiatrist said in the introduction to my book, that what comes easily to you comes very hard expense to me. So that's just the way it is. We're living with schizophrenia. So there was all that craziness that got posted last year that was not necessary. But then the day after Labor Day, our search for a side effect drug took us to Austedo XR. And then I tried it, and I said, this is interesting. And I looked up what it was for, and I thought it was for tardive dyskinesia. And I said, oh, my old adversary, tardive dyskinesia, my old nemesis, my old cause of all my hatred of mental health sentiment was because of the tardive dyskinesia permanent side effect, where the nerves are ripped out of your fingertips and your face and your hair. That's where my hair went, because the nerves that go to the hair were burned away, and the extremity were burned away. The head is an extremity too, like your hands and your feet. So you have involuntary movements, and with these nerves are burned away. And now they have a treatment for it since 1964, when it was discovered, which was 12 years after the first intervention for psychosis pill-wise was discovered in 1952. So it was 1964 when tardive dyskinesia was discovered as a result of thorazine, chlorpromazine. So that's the one that did the most damage to me back in the 1970s. Ironically, that was the one I functioned the most best on, though, during those years. And but it had to be from all the pot we smoked in Tampa at the time in the 70s. The whole city floated on pot, pharmaceutical grade LSD, and indigenous psilocybin mushrooms to the area. Magic mushrooms, you understand, grow in the Tampa Bay area. If you go to high school there, you're going to know where they are in the colony and where to find them. It's just the way it's growing up. So anyways, there was all that, and but that had nothing to do with what we were talking about, or did it? The tardive dyskinesia. But as long as I took the antipsychotics, I could do all the psychedelics and not go crazy. I have a normal psychedelic experience, which was read about and studied immensely at the time before we even did any of that stuff. We were in certain groups studying different people's writings, and it was all academic. It was all academic. It wasn't recreational. Those studies are in my second book. My first book is the schizophrenia years, and so I said, so the Austedo then for the tardive dyskinesia was after I was titrated up to optimized up to a 36 milligram a day dose. I'm fine now for like some time. It began the day after Labor Day. They were in stock and delivered, and I started on them. And I was up the dosage until we were up to maximum they could go, and I'm happy on it. And my hands are steadier, far steadier. I still can have some slight shaking movement a little bit, but that's not the tardive dyskinesia. That's just being my age bracket. I think I really have to seriously think nothing at all abnormal about it. But compared to the way it was before the tardive dyskinesia drug Austedo, was shaking and tremoring, and my handwriting was like bizarrely, insanely illegible. I mean, so this has all been improved 100,000% now by the Austedo drug. It's a subtle neurological change. It's not a psychological change. The psychology change is that I simply feel more normal because my neurology is back to normal. I can feel, like, for instance, my hands, when I put them together, the nerves are burned out of the fingers. I couldn't feel my hand beside my palm against each other, let alone the warmth coming through my other hand. I couldn't feel that with those nerves burned away from tardive dyskinesia from antipsychotic medication and some antidepressants. There's a few I didn't get to. I don't know brand names and speak generics, but and antiemetics or anti-vomiting pills, anti-nausea pills. Those are the three key categories that can cause tardive dyskinesia. So. And the typical antipsychotics, the first generation that causes the worst, aren't even used anymore unless nothing newer works. So that's good news there. I always thought that should have been banned for that reason from a long time ago, and a lot of tears in my own heart and soul, you wouldn't believe, over this kind of aggravation and nerve damage to myself that was done by in the 1970s mostly in Tampa. And to tell the other patients about it on the ward and have them ask the staff, you didn't get treated too well after that, let's just say. But I was for the underdog, and those kind of things, and I fought for my rights, and I got where I am today. I got fine-tuned by a doctor. Medication had to be invented that worked for me in the first place, in 1994. Things that come to a bad head. That's why you should read the book In the Grip of Paranoid Schizophrenia, the third edition in the library in Ohio. But that tells you the whole story of what I went through and what the illness, my encounter with it was like. I reported it as a journalist. Someone suggested to embellish it and make it sound even better than it was, crazier than it was. But I said, no, it's got to be a true, accurate accounting of what actually I experienced from the encounter with that illness, schizophrenia. So it was hellish and nightmarish and totally deranged to be in that kind of crazy state of mind as I describe in the first part of the book. And then the second half of the book tells how I beat the illness, basically. But so we're going on a 10-minute mark here in a minute. So I just wanted to say that so some crazy stuff got posted last year about those drugs I was on, being given, looking for the right one, and my cognition's fine now, but I have other problems, medical issues that need dealt with, and I don't know how they're going to get dealt with. I live alone, and that's the whole problem, being alone and nobody here, period. So have a nice, happy New Year. I'm sure mine remains to be seen. Thank you for listening. 10-minute mark. Have a nice, happy New Year. Bye now.